Testing. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Cool. Okay. Hi, my name is Matt. Introducing myself, I don't know if I've met all of you guys. If I haven't, come say hi. I promise I'm a friendly guy. Thank you guys for coming out too. I know there were a lot of people who couldn't make it to this event because of the BBA mandatory lecture. We're also recording it in the back just in case any of you guys need some reference. We're recording it for those people if you have any questions or anything like that. We'll send it out in an email later on tonight. This will include the PowerPoint as well. And in the PowerPoint, we've got loads of great information for you. So we're going to talk about the logistics of the pledging semester, give you a sort of an idea of what's actually going to go on, what you can expect. We're also going to give some first-hand experiences from some of our brothers as well, so you can have a better idea on what actually goes on in the process and why they actually stay involved in AK Psi. But first off, we do want you to come and join our AK Psi family. And if you guys couldn't tell so far, our theme this year has been Modern Family. If you've seen by like the cover photo or even the Rush video on our Facebook website, that's basically like what we're trying to get apart because we are an AK Psi family and we'd love for you to join us. We actually have this quote that I want to mention right now. So family is family, whether it's the one you start out with, the one you end up with, or the family you gain along the way. That's a quote from Modern Family, and we really think it encompasses AK Psi's motive. And what I bet everybody in AK Psi would say that this definitely represents their Michigan experience and how AK Psi fits into it. So just to go over a little agenda of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to have our president come up. She's going to introduce herself, talk a little bit about AK Psi. We're going to introduce more e-board members from AK Psi as well. And then with the AK Psi family, you're going to have the opportunity to hear some of our brothers talk about their first-hand experience. We're also going to go into the professional development part of our pledging semester. And then once again, we're not just a business fraternity. We see ourselves as a community. So we're going to talk about some of our social events as well. And then we're going to go into the logistics of the pledging process and the time commitment that comes along with it. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our president, Bailey Tusak.
Thank you so much. All right, hi everyone. If you guys haven't met me yet, my name is Bailey Tusak, and I'm currently the president. It's my second semester. I'm also a senior, so I've been on e-board for 2 years now, and I rushed fall freshman year, so where you guys are sitting right now. And to give you a little bit more about AK Psi in general, on our website, if you've been there, hopefully, it says that we are the premier business fraternity, which is a bold statement. What does that actually mean? So we have over 300 chapters across the world. We're in 3 countries, and that equals about 260,000 members. As an AK Psi Phi chapter, which is at Michigan, we've been a chapter for over 30 years with an extensive alumni network. Really good to talk to when you're recruiting. If you're curious about any type of field, you can talk to anyone over here afterwards. I don't know if Matt mentioned that, but I remember sitting where you guys were, 7 semesters ago, super nervous. I was visibly shaking after when it was time to talk to people, but I forced myself to go and talk to the president, which is something I vividly remember. After like 2 sentences, she stopped me. Her name was Shivani. She was like, "Oh, you're nervous. You're really nervous." And I was like, "Yeah, you're kind of intimidating." And she is. Hopefully I'm not. I'm very nice, I promise. But her words of wisdom were, "Good. I'm happy that you're nervous because that means even at this Rush event, you're taking something away. You're growing as a person and you're learning something. So please embrace that afterwards. Talk to people. At any following Rush events, talk to people." When you pledge, it's like that every single day. You learn something new, right? Matt and Taylor are going to talk more about what that actually means. But please just, again, embrace this process as a whole, even rushing. Some people are here for the 2nd or 3rd time. I promise you'll learn something new as well. And so Matt and Taylor are going to talk more about the family aspect, but don't be intimidated by the premier business fraternity. It's great to have in your back pocket, right, once you get in. However, yeah, snaps to that. This means something good. That means something good. But now I'm going to pass it back off to Matt and Taylor to talk about the pledging process in general.
Okay, so Matt introduced himself a little bit earlier on, but I am Taylor Rader, and we are both going to be your kind of pledge parents along this process. And what that kind of means is like we're the vice presidents of membership. So we are really kind of encompassing you all in like this journey that you're going on throughout the pledge semester. So we're kind of your mentors throughout. So just to give a little bit of history, like just about myself, I actually am majoring in film, television, and media, and minoring in both business and art and design. So kind of one of the best parts about AK Psi is kind of its diversity and how many interests that everybody has. And so it's like me and Matt both are interested in business, but we are also interested in so many other things. Me and Matt actually rushed together when we were sophomores, so it's both our 5th semester in AK Psi. I'm actually from Michigan, so I'm sure a lot of you are from Michigan too. And then this past summer, I interned at Visai Productions, which is a wedding and event videography company. And then just a little quirky fact about myself, I've actually never broken a bone, not gonna lie. I don't really want to, but now handing off to Matt to talk about.
Again, I'm Matt. I'm majoring in BCN, if you guys are familiar with that. It's biopsychology, cognition, and neuroscience. I'm also minoring in business. I'm a senior here at the University of Michigan. Again, this is my 5th semester in AK Psi. We pledged together. We got really close during the pledge semester. And if you guys are familiar with Michigan at all, I'm from White Lake, Michigan. So just to use the palm, I'm on like the right side of your palm, kind of by your thumb. Just to use that for reference. And then I actually, this past summer, I interned at a company called True Medicare. I actually was reached out to by a now AK Psi alum, and he's like, hey, do you want to do a side project for my dad? And that turned out into an internship this summer, which is one of the many perks of AK Psi, is you have those resources available for you. And a quirky fact that I have is I have a twin brother who goes to Michigan State. That's actually a picture of us two in the middle right there. Just to give you a little bit of reference, I'm the one on the right, and we're in the same tie, but we kind of look a little familiar, or similar, so.
And just to go straight into it, just kind of the key takeaways of like what you guys will get out of AK Psi is that you're kind of surrounding yourself with very, very accomplished people and people that are very, very smart in all of their interests themselves. So you're going to be interacting with all of these very accomplished people, and it will make you want to be that accomplished as well. So it really makes you strive to be your best self. And also during your pledge process, it's kind of like an endless opportunity to become better leaders and to become your more professional self. So you always have different opportunities in your pledging process to take a leadership role and to actually create little events for each other and to get people more involved.
And yeah, one of the things I wanted to touch on that I took away from my entire AK Psi experience is our unmatched alumni network. Again, we are the oldest and largest business fraternity on campus, and that doesn't even just limit us to this campus. AK Psi is the biggest business fraternity in America, like in the world. So you have that network at your hands to access at any point, and AK Psi is a bonding point for you to communicate with those types of people. One of the things I wanted to touch on is we have an AK Psi alum who graduated last year. Her name is Danielle Melito. She's actually traveled to 30 different countries with AK Psi brothers, which is kind of an absurd amount of countries to travel to in itself, but she did it with AK Psi brothers, and then she's got loads more on top of that, which is absolutely absurd. But that's one of the things that's really cool about the experience here at AK Psi is we have a lot of people in our network and stuff like that. And it also comes into play when we look at like the job market and stuff like that. There's always people out there from our alumni database and from the AK Psi National Alumni Database to contact you as well.
And that kind of goes back to the first point too, is like you're also surrounding yourself with those alumni, so you can always reach out to them and they can give you more knowledge about the industries that you're interested in.
And again, speaking of our alumni base when it comes to professionalism, we have been working at most of the top firms in all of the industries that you can literally think of. So you think of IB, we've got people at Goldman, JP Morgan, MS. We also have people at all of the big 3 consulting firms. But then we have a bunch of brothers who like to go down different routes. So if you're creative, we've worked at Disney, we've worked at DreamWorks. A lot of people have like worked at Hulu and all these different things. The main thing I want to drive through with this is that we have people everywhere across the world, and it's global too. We have people who have interned at PwC in Dubai. Like, I mean, not too many organizations can say that, and we take pride in that and our members who have gone through that, and that's one of the things that we have access to and that we love about AK Psi. And then one of the cool things that we do have here, as I mentioned before, we have a bunch of brothers sitting right here who are going to give you their first-hand experiences of AK Psi. AK Psi is filled with a bunch of interesting and honestly just awesome individuals, and that's why I'm standing here right now, is because I love the organization that I'm in, right? But we want to hear from them and give you guys a better idea of what AK Psi is actually about, so we're going to give you these first-hand experiences. So I'm going to have David come up. He actually just pledged last semester. He's going to give you sort of his little tell-all about AK Psi.
So in a few moments, you'll hear from some of the older brothers as well. But I'm part of Beta Pi. So I pledged last semester, Beta Pi over here. So I pledged last semester, and I remember the first pledge retreat we had. So we're all staying over this one house, and for whatever reason, we came up with this little motto. And the motto was, Beta Pi runs AK Psi. So the truth to that is that in a few years, yes, we will all be upperclassmen. And yes, we will be the ones leading AK Psi and really just driving us to become a better organization. But at that point in time, we were really close. We get closer and closer, knowing that we were all together in one. But the thing is, a month before, it was a completely different story. I remember it was about 8 months ago now, and I was in your chairs right now. I remember looking at some of the brothers presenting. We had Ryan Tisch, he's working full-time at Bain now, someone named Danny Sheridan, who had a $6 million company and was just really crushing it. It was just so intimidating. And all these emotions were going through me, and especially that one of intimidation. I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know if I could ever get to that level, or I don't know if I can even be sufficient in this organization. And to counter that, a week later, we had one of the first parties with AK Psi. And I remember Pierre, our pledge dad at the time, he decided in the middle of a dance, like, music wasn't even going that loud, it wasn't even that hype, but he decided to do a handstand in the middle of a dance. And he fell on his face, and he had like a huge gash on his forehead. And I remember one of the early interviews, I met with someone named Mars, and she's his current brother. And Mars and I, we sit down, and I thought it'd be super formal, like, hey, I'm David, what's your, like, really almost superficial. But what it ended up being was a whole conversation about the fact that she used to be like an almost Olympic skater, and she used to work on a farm, and the fact that she writes for something called Spoon University. It's about food. And I talked about skating. I love skateboarding. And I just talked about how I ran a little skate company for a while. It was the funnest conversation I've had that was so formal, but also informal and genuine. And lastly, I remember this concern of commitment. I remember thinking to myself, oh God, this is my second semester freshman year. I'm taking East classes. I have 18 credits. Like, what am I going to do when I have pledging? Well, does anyone use Amazon Alexa? Yeah, I didn't have Alexa. Okay, so with Alexa, you can be like, Alexa, buy me paper towels. And Alexa will order paper towels to your house. Alexa, play music, bump something. Well, I had a big that semester, and his name was Sam. And he was kind of like my Alexa, right? So he was upperclassman. And like, whenever I needed anything, Sam was just there for me. He was someone who, Sam, yeah. Anyway, so Sam, there he is. Yeah, so Sam was my Alexa, and anything I needed, he was there. Like, Sam, I need some help with this. Can we help? Can you come and help with interviews? And he'd stay at like 3, 4 a.m. just helping me out about schedule interviews with others. And it was the most relieving process to know I had someone there along with me the whole time. So I'll leave it on one last note. And back to the guy, Danny Sheridan, who ran a $6 million company, is working like product manager at Amazon, whatever it is. And I remember before I started pledging, we sat down for some coffee. And Danny looks at me and says, David, any questions about AK Psi? I think for a second. I said, look, there's a lot going on. Is it worth it to become involved in this organization? And Danny thinks about it and says, that's a good question. It's good you asked that. See, here's the thing. 4 years ago, when I was a freshman, someone told me that AK Psi, what you put in, you don't get out. But what you put in, you get out 10 times. You get out what you put in 10 times over. And really though, I even just as a new brother, as a pledge last semester, like I said, I really feel like I've gotten out so much more than I put in. And yeah, it's not terribly easy, but I can say right now, honestly, that joining AK Psi has been the best decision I've made at Michigan so far. So with that, I'll hand it off to some more experienced brothers. Thanks so much.
All right. Hi guys. My name is Isabel. I go by Isa. I'm currently a junior. I'm studying the School of Information, minoring in business. So I came to Michigan. I had no idea what I wanted to study. I immediately joined the club soccer team because I've just always played soccer my whole life, wanted to find a community, met amazing people, but I was still looking for a more professional, more academic community to join. So a girl from my town who graduated, Lexi Retchen, she told me about AK Psi, and initially I was thinking, nope, that's not at all for me. I have no idea what really business is, how I would fit into it. For those, no one really knows my parents, but my parents are very granola, hippie, not very business oriented if you were to meet them. So I figured, no, Ross, business, not for me. So I just by chance kind of stumbled upon one of the events, one of the Rush events, and I met a few brothers, and I was immediately taken aback by the diversity and the different backgrounds that everyone was coming from. And I realized that business is in everything. No matter what you do, business is applicable, professionalism is applicable. So I continued to go to Rush events, I met more brothers, and I was truly blown away by everyone in this organization, and I fell in love instantly. The pledging experience for me was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, and I honestly can say it showed me what I'm truly capable of, and that I can assure you that I'm not the only one that feels that way. Every single brother will say the same thing. So post-pledging, I have continued to gain so much from this organization, and thanks to older brothers that have done a program that I did this past summer in Cape Town, South Africa, I had one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And not only did I go to Cape Town with four other AK Psi brothers, I met AK Psi brothers that go to schools like NYU, UPenn, USC, you name it, there was AK Psi brothers there, and I realized that this is not just a Michigan organization, this is a national organization, that truly you do have brothers all over the place. And that is something that you really can't match with anything else. So what I will say is that also through AK Psi, aside from the community and aside from the people here that are amazing, it honestly led me to the path I'm on right now. So I wasn't familiar with School of Information. I really wasn't that familiar with Ross, the business minor, the business major. But through the interviews with 60 Brothers and through just meeting everyone here, I kind of realized what Michigan has to offer. And I truly think that I've made the most of my Michigan experience thanks to the people sitting right over here. So with that being said, one of my fellow pledge mates and awesome brother here, Pranav, is going to carry off.
How's everyone doing? Good? Good? Great! Smiles? Get some smiles going. So my name is Pranav, and I pledge with ISA, but I'm a junior studying computer science, and I want to tell you guys a story. So I pledged my winter of my freshman year, but my freshman fall, I would say, was one of the worst 3 months of my life. It was terrible, and I got here welcome week, and I was like, man, the school is awesome, whatever. Michigan football, rah-rah. And then classes came along, and I was like, oh man, like, this is like kind of a lot of work. This is, you know, I was sort of getting in my own head about things, and wondering, where am I actually going with this? So the next 3 months were pretty much day after day of going to class, coming back at like 4 or 5 o'clock, eating dinner, doing my homework, going to bed. And there wasn't a whole lot of socializing that went on. There wasn't a whole lot of growth that went on. I sort of felt like I was going through the motions. I was pretty ready to transfer, to be honest. Go back home to Boston, be with my friends, be with my family, and I was like, no. I gave it a shot. It's not for me. And I came across AK Psi through one of my best friends, Tom, who's not here right now. But Tom was like, we were sitting in the dining hall one day. He's like, why don't you just come to Coffee Chats, an event that we had last week. I said, I want you there. But he was like, why don't you come? So I gave it a shot. I was like, you know, what the hell? And I walked in, and the first person I talked to was a chemical engineer. And I was like, all right, what's a chemical engineer doing at a business fraternity? And I spoke with him for 45 minutes. And in that 45 minutes, I learned more than I did in that entire fall semester. And I was like, okay, maybe this is something. Maybe I'm sort of
gaining some speed. Maybe we can make this Michigan thing work. And as soon as I got my bid, I kept rushing, I got my bid. As soon as I got my bid, I realized that I was in an organization that had people with drive and ambition that matched the level of my goals. And I always had big dreams for myself, but I never knew how to get there, right? And I never had the people around me to get me there. And that drive and ambition, when you're around it every day, when you're living with it, when you see it out in the winter garden, when you're taking a class with someone with the drive and ambition of the people in this organization, that's contagious. You wake up in the morning and you want to go do things, right? You don't, it's not going through the motions, right? It's not just classes, it's not just gaining clubs for resume. It's going out and building something. It's going out and winning a case competition. It's going out and trying to reach your full potential. And that was something that, without AKSI, I promise you, I never would have been able to do. And I sort of looked back at the end of the semester and I was like, what changed? Because I was super happy after I pledged back in April. I went back home, I was on the plane ride home, and I was like, what changed? And it wasn't the resume skills, it wasn't the presentations that we had to do, it wasn't the interviews, it was really a mindset thing. And a lot of you might be feeling homesick right now if you're freshmen. A lot of you might be feeling unfulfilled. Maybe you're not, that's okay. But I definitely was when I was sitting in your seats. And this organization, I can say, like, I would not have even dreamed of being able to get to Amazon. I always wanted to get there, but I always thought that's for people smarter than me, right? And just by virtue of sitting in this room, you're interested in AKSI, you're at Michigan, every single one of you has potential to reach your dreams. And I don't mean that in a cheesy sense. I'm like completely serious. AKSI is the accelerator to where you want to go. And I mean, I'd love to chat with you more, but I really hope that you guys join us and join me on this journey to getting to where you want to go. With that, I'll pass it off to Ryan.
How's it going? So I'm a senior right now. I'm a double major in international studies and Romance languages, which is just a fancy word for a combination of French and Spanish. And then, like many other brothers, I have a minor in business as well. So I just wanted to touch on and reiterate that a lot of other brothers come in, you're not a typical BBA student. You might come from LSA, Ford, or Information, or whatever the school may be. And AKSI has the resources to get you where you need to be. So over the course of my time at AKSI, I pledged with Bailey first semester of my freshman year. And every summer since then, I've had an internship. Not saying you need to have one, but because of the things that AKSI has taught me, I've had an internship freshman, sophomore, and junior year. So on the professional note, I've worked abroad. I've worked in Detroit, and this most recent summer, I worked in New York City. So being able to have concrete skills to go into networking or go through recruiting is just something phenomenal that AKSI will provide you. And so being a non-raw student, a lot of some of the resources we don't have access to, whether that's a resume drop or what it might be. And granted, LSA does have a wealth of resources for in the industry that you're looking in. So for example, after my sophomore year, I was able to work at a small consulting firm in Detroit because of the connection that I had, who passed my resume on. And then this most recent summer working at Goldman in New York City, I was able to have a lot of resources because of my big actually. Was when I was a freshman, my big was a senior, who now also works at Goldman, but was able to give me the resources I needed to succeed in that environment. Apart from professionally, I would think that AKSI has just given me so much in terms of the social aspect as well. So starting freshman year, some of my best friends at Michigan I've made through AKSI. When I was abroad, I was able to visit them in different cities. I was in Barcelona, Prague, Dublin. I was able to hang out with them. And then this most recent summer in New York City, I was actually able to live with one of them, Alex, in the corner over there. And we had maybe the most fun summer I could have ever even imagined. So just overall, I think that the resources AKSI will give you are just phenomenal, outstanding. And it just gives you a really great network, both in terms of the professional and social, that will carry you through both your 4 years at Michigan and then also later on in whatever you choose to do. If you have any questions after the session and love to talk to me, I'll be here. Feel free, don't hesitate to come up and ask. And on that note, I'm going to pass it off to Hannah, another one of our seniors.
So I'm Hannah. I'm a BBA senior. And when Lyndon was making the slides, he asked me if I had a minor. And I said, as a joke, AK Psi. Took it a little bit literally, but I was thinking about it, and it's actually pretty fitting. You know, I've put more time and energy into this organization than I would any minor, and then I think I've gotten more out of it, and I'll continue to get more out of it than any minor could have really given me. But today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience being in Ross and in AK Psi and how it's kind of impacted my Michigan experience. So everyone else has said, 3 years ago I was sitting where you guys are. I was interested in business. I was thinking about applying to Ross. I could definitely use some professional development, but I really just wanted a community. So I decided to rush. I got into pledging. And during pledging, I was talking to over 60 brothers and realized that Ross was going to be the path I wanted to take. And it was the night before the application was due. I spent weeks writing my application. And I decided to show a brother just as a grammar check. And she, I remember it so vividly, didn't even spend 30 seconds reading it before she looked at me and said, "Hannah, this isn't very good." And she saw the panic on my face, and she took a deep breath and said, "We're gonna fix this." And this girl stayed up until 7 a.m. with me all night, rewriting my entire application. Made it on time for her 8 a.m. And you know, we'd had a handful of conversations, and when I got in, she was the first person I called, the first person I thanked. And if you ask her today why she did that for me, she would tell you that someone helped her. And this was a trend in the Brotherhood. It was, we give back. And I realized that this would be probably the most important aspect of this Brotherhood for my Michigan experience. Going forward, when I would talk to brothers, being in Ross, there was always someone there to help me. You know, I think it took 10 to 15 people to get me through accounting. And I knew the majors, the interests of every single one from all the interviews, and I knew there was always someone I could reach out to for help, and I needed a lot of it. So then, you know, being in Ross, dealing with all those pressures, and talking to everyone, I kind of realized that there were some very rigid paths. You know, there's investment banking, sales and trading, consulting, marketing, and I loved aspects of each of these. Didn't really love one. I liked the drive and the hustle and just in the finance industry. I loved the relational aspects of human capital consulting, but I really didn't know where to go with it. And through talking to brothers, I, you know, started to kind of quell those, that tension, that nervousness. But second semester of my sophomore year, we got an email from Ross saying the banks are here, which was terrifying. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was venting to a senior in the Winter Garden and an alum who had graduated the year before. So just saw us, decided to come by and say hi. We were talking very casually. She worked at Goldman. And she was like, "You know what? You should look into human capital management. It's kind of like human capital consulting, but you don't travel, it's internal. I'm gonna introduce you to my friend at the firm-wide event." She ended up doing that, and this girl was probably one of the most important resources for me in getting that job. Just like that brother that helped me with the application, I knew this girl for a couple of months. We had a handful of conversations, but because of the bond of this brotherhood, she was so willing to, you know, stick her neck out for me, help me, introduce me to someone, and ultimately help land my dream job. So what I really want you guys to just take from this is that this brotherhood, regardless of your major, regardless of your interests, if you're not, you know, some people end up not going into business. My big's, you know, getting her PhD in psychology. So that's completely, you know, we can do whatever you are interested in. And the vast array of majors, of interests, I hope that you guys just can see that this brotherhood, the bond of this brotherhood is so close that we will always give back, and we always want to give back and help each other and be there for each other. So I have AK Psi to thank for my incredible Michigan experience, for my job, for introducing me to my best friends who I know will be there to help me prepare for the interview and celebrate when I get the job. So with that, I want to hand it off to Kunal, who's going to just tell you a little bit more about the Brotherhood and all the other things we're involved in on campus.
What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? Good. Good. What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? Once again, can we just have another round of applause for our amazing 5 speakers? Really, that's just 5 people that kind of give a keynote on what AK Psi is and what it can bring for you guys as first semester freshmen or first semester sophomores. So with that, as Hannah mentioned, my name is Kunal Kapadia. I'm in my 5th semester in AK Psi. I was an ex-vice president of operations, and currently I serve as the vice president of internal development for AK Psi. So if anyone has any questions on those, or just questions for me in general, feel free to come up to me after the presentation. I'd love to talk to you about it. Okay, great. So as Hannah mentioned as well, we want to talk a little bit more about our brotherhood and where we are connected on campus. So 100% of our brothers, that's every single other brother in this fraternity, is involved in another organization on campus. And what this means is that we're extremely well connected across any organization on campus, you name it, in Ross or outside of Ross. And this is something that we want to hone in. Of course, the alumni network is great and extensive, and will provide you with an array of opportunities once you guys graduate, but we understand that you're still young and you guys want to get involved in other things outside of just AK Psi and what you're interested in right now. So as you can see on this board, we broke it up in terms of Ross organizations as well as beyond in terms of what we're connected in. So we're not just in other organizations, we're also leaders in other organizations, and we've founded other organizations. In Ross itself, Nexicon, Apex Consulting, Wolverine Blockchain, known as Wolverine Crypto Trading last year, as well as Michigan Stocks and Bonds, were all founded by AK Psi brothers. On top of that, we have current and former leadership in a bunch of other Ross-affiliated organizations. Not going to read the entire list, but BBA Council, Ross Undergraduate Student Advisory Board, all the way down to some other organizations. We currently have had leadership in these organizations. Again, so if you want to be connected with other organizations or other opportunities within Ross, we're here to help you do that. And I have an example actually myself to kind of tie into this. So when I was pledging AK Psi, didn't really know what I wanted to do, as many other brothers touched on. Had an interest in marketing and consulting, and my big was actually in Nexicon Consulting Group. And he actually reached out on my behalf to other brothers, the ex-president of Nexicon now, but he was the president of Nexicon at the time, for me to connect to and chat with to learn more about Nexicon as well as consulting. And what this did is, again, opens up doors for me to apply in the following semester, as well as interview, and then get in eventually, which is awesome. On top of that, with Michigan Advertising Marketing, which is on the board as well, again, I had an interest in marketing. My big connected me with other brothers in AK Psi that are also in this club, was able to talk to them, learn a little bit more about the organization, and then pass on that knowledge down as well. It's kind of funny because it's kind of come full circle for me as a junior now on campus. A bunch of sophomores in AK Psi have reached out to me of interest in these clubs, and I'm more than happy and more than willing to help them because of the help that I got and the help that I knew I needed when I was a freshman rushing AK Psi. So outside of the Ross organizations, of course, we have a lot of different kind of things that we're interested in on campus. So it ranges from sports, so club soccer, club lacrosse, all the way down to engineering clubs, engineering consulting clubs, Empowered, Music Matters, you name it. We probably have a brother in that organization that we can A, connect you to, and B, that you can learn a bit more about. Even Ron Morkovich, who I think is here right now, Michigan Climbing Club. Shout out that, it's pretty interesting. There he is, go talk to him. Super interesting guy. Ron, raise your hand. There he is, yeah, super great guy. Yeah, I just wanted to keep this short and brief. Again, once again, my name is Kunal Kapadia. Feel free to come up and talk to me, but we are very, very well connected, not in the professional sense, but also on campus, and we hope you guys can recognize this, and hopefully we can talk moving forward. Thank you, guys.
And then once again, we're not just a professional business fraternity. The reason that I actually joined AK Psi is because I was looking for a community on campus with people that I can bond with and have fun with. So these are just some of the events that we go about.
Yeah, so I know that all of the brothers have just previously talked, and we've highlighted a bunch about all of the professional benefits that you get from this, but I really want to highlight and just go into more detail about the family aspect, and these events kind of how we kind of bring our family together. And so when we're actually able to go and do philanthropy events, if you were there last night, we held one, and there were tons of brothers, but we also brought in all of you guys and got to meet all these amazing new faces and new people. And so like when we get to do these things together, that's how we are able to like build these special bonds and be able to have best friends that are also interested in the same things that you are. And so kind of just going along just through the list of things, we're all interested in like intramural sports. So we like do groups together and we go play volleyball and we go play baseball, different things like that. And then like for social events, like the entire brotherhood gets together and we throw individual parties and like dress up and go do things. So it's like we're very organized in being able to give brothers opportunities to get together again. So even after pledging, when you're no longer like the center of attention, you still get to come to brotherhood meetings and come to different brotherhood held events where you get to see everybody again. So it's not like you become less involved once you're done rushing and done pledging. You actually become more involved because you get to be a part of all of these different events that we throw.
And then another thing I actually want to touch on about that, you guys better watch out for our Brimball team this year. We're going to be #1 and we're going to be Iron Champs. So if you play against us, sorry. Also with this, we wanted to be very transparent about what's coming up in the upcoming semester. So pledging is definitely a lot, but I mean, all of us went through it and we managed through it, and I mean, we're living on the other side. So these are just some of the requirements that are required of you throughout the semester. Again, we are very accommodating when it comes to special issues and stuff like that. So if there's something that pops up, feel free to mention it to us and we'll work something out. So the first requirement, we have meetings every Tuesday evening. So we have our chapter meeting, and then there's also a pledge meeting every Tuesday night as well. Throughout the semester, you're going to do 61-hour coffee chats with brothers. It seems a lot, but that was by far my favorite part of the entire semester because I actually got to learn about different avenues that I can go through in the professional world. There are also weekly quizzes that are required from you as well. You'll do a team presentation to the brotherhood. You also do a bunch of pledge events. Again, like, we're mom and dad of the semester for you guys, so we want to make sure that you bond over the semester and get to know each other and have a great time here at Michigan. So we're going to do a bunch of different pledge events. There's also $150 in dues, and again, like, we're really open to accommodating with people as well for certain situations, so don't worry about any of that so far, but we just want to give you guys a little bit of an idea of the logistics of the semester and how that will actually work out.
Yeah, just to touch on like the meetings every Tuesday, actually when I was pledging, I had a class during that time, and they made it so accommodating for everything. I didn't feel like I was missing out on like not being able to go to these meetings because I had my pledge mates and brothers always catching me up on what I missed. And so just to go through the benefits again, I know we've all probably touched on like every single one of the things that are listed here, but you're going to get a lot of professional growth throughout the semester. There's a ton of leadership opportunities with the different positions that we have in the pledge class, so you can try out for those, and if you get picked, you have this immense like leadership opportunity that you get to grow with. And then we help you develop your resume and cover letters for jobs or internships that you're interested in. And there's a ton of networking and interview preparation. The other brothers that presented earlier talked a lot about how older brothers would prepare them and help them throughout their entire application process and interview process. And then Matt touched earlier on this, but our alumni database is huge, and they will always respond to you and get back to you about any questions you have about a certain industry. They're very, very nice in that way. And then just application coaching and just anything about business, public policy, or really any program that you're studying in Michigan, I guarantee there's someone that is also interested in all of those same things and will be more than willing to help you out with that. And so I don't know if you guys have all seen our Rush video, but we kind of, going off of that theme of Modern Family, we made this little thing with a few of the brothers that are here today. So I'm gonna play it.
And then can we give... say it's pretty spot on to the actual Modern Family trailer opening, if you guys have ever seen it. And then mad props to Taylor. She actually made the video. She did a lot of work behind the scenes, and I think it's killer. So we should give her another round of applause. Cool. And then thank you guys. Again, these are our next events. So we've got
Rush Barbecue
Yeah,
is
we got Rush
next,
Barbecue.
and it's tomorrow night, and the application is also due tomorrow night at 11:59. But please try to get it in earlier than that if you do apply, because we tend to have a lot of people submitting at the same time very late, and we don't really want people to not have it submitted because everyone's doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
So earlier the better.
Yeah, we actually, so our website, I don't know if you all have been on it yet or anything, but it was made by a bunch of brothers in AK Psi. So actually, Pranav and Jake Schwartz were leading that charge. It's super sick. Don't know if you guys have checked it out, but there might still be a few little kinks, so make sure to submit your applications on time. I hope you all have started them. If you haven't, that's okay. I didn't start mine until the day of either. So don't worry about it. Just make sure to submit it on time, just in case, to avoid any technical difficulties and stuff like that. And then now I think we're going to open it to a little networking session. If you guys want to come up to us, talk. We've got a bunch of people here if you guys want to talk to them as well, learn about their experiences with AK Psi. We hope that you find your family with us.